Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is Montana This Morning from Montana's news leader.
Good morning. Thanks for waking up with us here on Montana This Morning. I'm Augusta McDonald.
And I'm Louis Stewart. Hope you're having a great start to your Thursday, almost to the end of the week, Augusta. And so it's getting to that time where people are starting to make, those weekend plans.
Yes.
Trying to figure out what you want to do. And whatever your plan is, just keep in mind it's going to be a pretty wet, soggy weekend ahead.
Right. It's starting to look like spring sports outside. There's a lot of mud and leftover melting snow.
Yeah, it's warmer temperatures moving again. Now the mountains, say you're going to want to do some skiing or something, the mountains, we're going to keep getting those snowfall. The valleys, we're going to see rain and snow showers, and even some areas all rain, as we are going to see warmer temperatures move in. So here's your forecast headlines. Quiet today, increasing clouds, but average temperatures and maybe a little bit of light snow in northwest Montana. That's going to be about it. Now, a stronger system moves in tonight. All of western Montana is going to see snow, but then as you move into the valleys for tomorrow morning, it's going to turn into a rain-snow mix, and then tomorrow afternoon, all rain for the valleys. And then we're staying active with rain and snow showers sticking with us to at least the middle part of next week. So here is your Thursday forecast. We'll see 35 in Missoula today, 34 Kalispell, cloudy skies with some light snow in northwest Montana. And then everywhere else should see mostly cloudy skies with clouds slowly increasing in front of our next system that moves in tonight. We'll talk more about that here in just a few minutes.
Alrighty, thank you, Louis. Montana news this morning. Recent investigations at 3 different Montana schools have revealed suspected inappropriate teacher-student relationships throughout the state. That includes a Ronan 6th grade English teacher who also worked as an assistant boys basketball coach at the high school, who was investigated and resigned before that was complete. The most serious allegations of teachers will be sent to the State Board of Public Education to investigate. That board oversees teacher certification and can consider the suspension or revocation of teacher certificates. MTN's Lindsay Ford spoke to the board about the process of investigating cases like these.
The State Board of Public Education can discipline a teacher for a number of reasons, ranging from incompetency and gross neglect to conviction of certain types of crimes and immoral conduct.
Student-teacher relationship is, whether they've reached the age of legal consent or not, is still a problem.
Board Executive Director Pete Donovan says when it comes to cases of immoral conduct investigated annually,
it really varies a lot. I mean, there are some years that we have 1 or 2 cases, and there's other years where we can have 6 or 8.
Montana administrative rules say immoral conduct can mirror many state criminal statutes, but it can also be any sexual conduct or intercourse involving a minor or a person the applicant or licensee knows, reasonably should know, or should have known is a student at a public or private elementary or secondary school.
Sexual assault, sexual intercourse without consent, indecent exposure, deviant sexual conduct, offenses involving prostitution, endangering the welfare of children.
When one of the types of these cases are forwarded to the board, Assistant Attorney General Robert Stutz is contacted. It's Stutz's job to review the case, including information collected by the Office of Public Instruction and the school district where the teacher worked. If the board proceeds with the investigation, a hearing will be scheduled before the board and Superintendent of Public Instruction to consider disciplinary action.
In addition to the hearing before the board, the Superintendent of Public Instruction also has the authority to suspend a teacher's license immediately if there's a concern about public health and safety.
At the hearing, a teacher can bring in witnesses to defend themselves and have an attorney represent them. Following the hearing, the board can choose to issue a letter of reprimand, suspend or revoke the teacher's certificate.
That's why we rely on what's defined in statute and in the board's rule.
An accused teacher can also choose to voluntarily forfeit their teaching certificate. If the board chooses to discipline a teacher or the teacher forfeits their license voluntarily, that information is submitted to a national database other districts can access, should the teacher apply at another district.
It's very unfortunate when these things do happen, but I think it's important to remember that it's such a tiny percentage of educators that get involved in these kind of problems. But when it does happen, it really has a profound impact on so many people.
Lindsay Ford, MTN News, Helena.
Top stories this morning. On this day in history, February 1st, 2003, as the Space Shuttle Columbia made its descent back to Earth after completing its 16-day mission in space, a real-life nightmare unfolded. The shuttle exploded and broke apart as it entered into the Earth's atmosphere. The 7 astronauts on board were killed, including Israel's first astronaut, Colonel Leon Ramon. The 6 others aboard who perished included Mission Commander Colonel Rick Husband, Commander William McCool, Mission Specialist David Brown, Mission Specialist Kalpana Chawla, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Anderson, and Captain Laurel Clark. Debris from the shuttle was scattered across all of East Texas. Tests later confirmed that a piece of foam from Columbia's fuel tank broke away during launch and punctured the left wing. More Health Watch headlines this morning. Montana's medical marijuana industry continues to evolve with new changes to its rules outlined recently by the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services. Providers said they liked the revisions and some called it a great day for the industry, but others expressed the need for more changes. In the latest changes, the state added mandatory testing again in place of randomized testing. License costs for providers with 11 to 49 patients were lowered to $2,500. Providers with under 11 patients must pay $1,000, while providers with over 49 patients must spend $5,000. The state health department also outlined new rules for labeling marijuana items, and patients can be minors and can now have a provider, but their parents or guardians must make purchases by proxy. As this rough flu season continues, many patients are turning to antiviral medications. Studies show the antiviral flu medication Ostelvamir, known by its brand name Tamiflu, can shorten the illness by about a day or two when taken within the first 48 hours of symptoms. Antiviral treatment is typically recommended for people at high risk for flu complications, including children under the age of 2, adults over the age of 65, pregnant women, and those with chronic health conditions such as asthma, diabetes, and heart disease. Common Tamiflu side effects include nausea, vomiting, headache, and pain. Pediatric infectious disease Dr. Amy Edwards says neuropsychiatric side effects are usually rare. Other Montana news headlines. Flathead Area Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks has embarked on a research project looking into mule deer populations in northwest Montana, specifically the Libby and Fisher River area. And as MTN's Nicole Miller reports, catching them may be the hardest part.
Mule deer are a very important big game species. Obviously, they're a very popular species for hunters to get out in the fall and to chase.
But this winter, it's biologists and game wardens with Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks doing the chasing, teaming up to wrangle as many as they can.
Over the next few months, we're going to try and capture 30 in a specific location and 30 in another area in the Whitefish Range.
They're rounding them up as part of a research project that Region 1 Education Officer Dylan Tabish says will give them insight into the population.
In recent years, we've seen some minor drops in our check station data after hunting season.
Tabish says populations could be perfectly healthy, but in order to find out, they need to catch them.
Making sure we understand how the population's doing, what trends could be out there impacting our big game species, whether it's predation, habitat changes, nutrition.
He says they're finding out that is easier said than done.
Trapping the mule deer is proven a little difficult. The terrain's a little rugged, and these animals are pretty smart.
Tabish says the goal of the project is to ultimately gain insight into the population in order to manage them better.
Research is a huge part of what we do because that really helps give us ideas about how we should be properly managing our wildlife and fish species.
Nicole Miller, MTN News, Kalispell.
Tabish says once the research is complete, the agency will release their findings in a report. Joining us now in the Storm Tracker Weather Center, meteorologist Louis George has the forecast. Louis.
All right, thank you, Augusta. Good morning, everyone. How about this great picture sent in to us last night by Terry? This is up there at Polston Bay. What a beautiful sunset we have here. Terry, thank you so much for sending in this fantastic photo. We have several others to get to, and we'll continue to do that throughout the morning. Quick look at those temperatures. It's really cold off to the east, milder further west you go, and this is going to be that sort of setup we are going to see this week, like I mentioned, where the colder temperatures are going to be east of the divide as our jet stream is pretty much going to set up right down the center of the state, and that's going to divide the warmer air from the west compared to the much cooler air off to the east. So just single digits and below zero here in central and eastern Montana. We're in the 20s and 30s as you head into Washington, Idaho, and here in west central and southwest Montana. Factor in those wind chills. How about it feels like 11 degrees below zero there in Jordan, 24 below there in Glasgow, 15 below in Havre. Feels like 5 below in Cut Bank. So again, if you have plans on traveling east anytime this weekend, make sure you bundle up. So here's what I was talking about. Here's your 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. This was issued yesterday by the National Weather Service. So notice the further west you go, well above average temperatures in the forecast for the next anywhere from 8 to even 2 weeks, 8 days to 14 days. The further east you go, below average temperatures are expected. And here in eastern Montana, notice they're expecting just slightly below average temperatures. Western Montana, we're looking at slightly above average temperatures. And again, that's all due to the jet stream. Notice how the air is really the cold air diving in out of Canada. The further east you go, we're getting this warm ridge set up here over the Pacific. That's allowing milder air to set up really starting tomorrow and lasting all the way into next week as well. So Monday, we're going to keep those milder temperatures for western Montana, cooler temperatures well off to the east, and this same sort of trend continues as we get into the end of the week with warmer temperatures out west, much cooler temperatures up to the east. The one thing to point out, though, is that any disturbances that develop are pretty much going to ride the jet stream right down into our area. And that's why we're talking about mountains seeing snow, but valleys seeing those rain and snow showers. So 7-day forecast for Missoula, 35 today, and then notice we're warming it up into the 40s for the next extended period of time with rain showers Saturday and Sunday. Kalispell 34 today, 38 Friday and Saturday. In Hamilton, 37 today. Temperatures in the 40s starting Friday and lasting into next week.
Alrighty, thank you, Lewis. We hope you're having a great Thursday morning. We'll be back right after this.